Hey everybody, I hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Michael's Matters. And by all accounts, one of the smartest moves for retirement, at least in the US, is to try to maximize one's Social Security benefits by waiting as long as possible to file or to retire, which is at this point the maximum age at 70 years old. So that would be for folks who are claiming things like Social Security Retirement, which is the largest group, as well as Social Security survivors, spousal benefits, and really all the other iterations of Social Security. But new data is coming out that Americans as a whole are retiring much earlier than they ever expected, oftentimes even before their full retirement age at 66 or 67 years old, even if it is technically costing them thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars over their lifetime during their retirement. So today we are talking about why Americans are retiring earlier than they ever expected, what could be causing it, and what kinds of pressure early retirements en masse is putting on our Social Security system. Now, this is Michael's Matters, and before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you find them interesting, if you find them helpful, or hey, if you at least find them useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful for that. But also because you get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. All right, now, let's get down to the video. So let's start off with the new data that came out from a survey put out by Schroders this year that asked both non-retired Americans and retired Americans a myriad of questions about their financial situations, as well as what their expectations for retirement are. Needless to say, the responses really do reflect the current general perception of retirement in the United States. One of the key points that stood out to me was the fact that 44% of non-retired Americans said that they fear Social Security will run out of money, and cited that as the reason as to why they are planning to retire at the earliest possible date, to take the money and run, to quote the Eagles, I think. Now, these types of concerns make 100% sense, right? I mean, even the most recent Social Security Trust Fund report says that if nothing changes, the ability for Social Security to pay out benefits at 100% will be diminished as soon as 2033. So it's not bankrupt, but it goes down. And that date actually keeps getting closer and closer. At this point, Social Security would only be able to pay out around 70 to 77% of benefits that were owed to the American people, and would be essentially paying out benefits hand to mouth as they wait for payroll taxes to come in to pay out, on the other hand, to Social Security beneficiaries. So with the looming prospects of Social Security not failing, but not being able to provide the full level of security that, maybe our parents and our grandparents were able to appreciate, why wouldn't anyone try to get as many benefits as they can as soon as possible, especially for folks that are in that Gen X and Millennial and Gen Z generations, whose earliest retirement dates don't even really start until we get into the 2050s. Also, the sentiment is more, I think, in my head, a critique of the trust of Americans in the political system. The reason for this is that the failure of Social Security is not because of the flaws in Social Security. Yes, there are flaws in Social Security, and yes, they're causing problems, but that is not the core reason that Social Security is failing. Social Security is essentially just a mechanism that is there to redistribute wealth. It is essentially a financial machine, but it was designed and obviously built on data from the mid-20th century, and so the real issue is going to be the fact that it has been failed to be maintained by Congress and the White House, who never have ever upgraded the parts or even kind of sort of rebuilt Social Security system to serve the current and future needs of Americans. This sentiment of 44% of these Americans who were surveyed is really just an indicator more of their loss of faith in the government to administer the Social Security program effectively and efficiently than it is in their loss of faith in the actual Social Security program. To really highlight and push home how much faith Americans don't have in the ability for Congress to fix the Social Security retirement issues, 72% of non-retirees who were surveyed said they know that waiting until the latest date to retire, that is 70 years old at least at the moment, would get them higher Social Security benefits throughout their life. In fact, it would go up to 130% of their full benefits. So 72% of the people, they knew that, and despite knowing that, full well and good, only 10% of them that were surveyed said that they would wait till 70 to take their benefits. So I guess the big question here is, are these concerns about Social Security coming up to a fiery end, or are these fears warranted? Well, I would say there's a good possibility. I mean, whether they are real or not, they are definitely warranted because look at it. If we look at how things have been going over the last year or so, there have been some very serious threats to the stability or even the existence of Social Security. If you think back, for those of us who have short memories, we have to recall just a few months ago, there was a political roadblock, the debt ceiling fight, that was putting Social Security and Medicare and some of the other government programs in serious jeopardy. Because in the U.S., basically every year, Congress has to agree to raise the national debt ceiling to allow the government to pay for all the programs and services that we all enjoy that are required to run the country. These debt ceiling approvals are often a whole bunch of hoopla because both sides of the political aisle have to agree to raise it. But this last time was most fraught because some of the members of the GOP said that they would not be willing to negotiate or even raise the debt ceiling unless there were serious cuts made to the Social Security program, as well as Medicare and Medicaid and some of the other safety net programs. At this point, there were all sorts of ideas getting tossed around, from raising Social Security retirement age to privatizing Social Security, or to even have to renew Social Security by vote every couple of years, potentially meaning that it could get not voted in at one of those times. But the reality is, if any of these things had actually been enacted, millions of Americans would have been affected, let alone if Social Security did have to be renewed every 5 years. I mean, that would put us all in jeopardy of never getting Social Security benefits if we happen to fall in one of those years where it got voted down. Luckily, cooler heads prevailed, and the debt ceiling fight came out to sort of a resolution that I'm sure we're going to see resurge the next time it comes around. But the GOP and Republicans, they have a point. Social Security is suffering from antiquation. It is the victim of demographics, as one of the largest generations in world history leave the workforce and jump into retirement. That's the baby boomers, which is the worst of both worlds for the current Social Security system. There is a huge influx of people drawing out benefits and equal amounts of people who are leaving the workforce and not paying into benefits anymore, which is how you spell disaster for a program like this. One sort of warming feeling to this, I guess, is that these problems that we are facing in the US, well, they're not unique. And in fact, many advanced economies around the world are dealing with the same problem, with a large population of workers who are retiring, who are entitled to financial retirement and pension plans, but they don't have a workforce to support it. Even earlier this year, France, not typically known for being fiscally conservative, especially when it comes to labor issues, made the tough choice to raise their retirement age. And capital cities like Paris turned into zombie apocalypses as the population as a whole roundedly rejected these changes. Despite the massive amount of gnashing of teeth and riots and protests that fired up across the country of France, the changes, they got pushed through anyways, as the president, Macron, said that it was absolutely a critical change that needed to be made to make their retirement program fiscally viable moving forward. And the thing is, again, he's sort of right. And this is very similar to what Republicans are proposing in the United States, to raise the retirement age or make some sort of cut to the benefits. But alternatively, there is a solution that has been proposed by Democrats that is equally, if not even more so, less palatable to the American public, which is to raise taxes. Primarily, President Biden, near the center of the Democrats, and some of the far left senators, the typical culprits like you would imagine, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, have been trying to increase taxes specifically targeted at the rich that would help to fortify and extend the existing trust fund for Social Security. They would do this by extending the cap on payroll taxes that fund Social Security to include income that is above the current limit at $160,000 a year. So right now, all the income that we earn from work up to $160,000 a year are taxed on the payroll, which is used to pay for Social Security. But all the dollars above that amount are not. So what they want to do is expand that, in Biden's case, up to $400,000, or in the Sanders case, up to all the income that somebody has. So there's no limit to how much it would be taxed on those incomes. So overall, when we think about retiring in the United States, and specifically when it regards to Social Security benefits, I think that the results of this survey seem like a pretty accurate depiction of, one, the loss of faith in our political system to be able to come to an agreement to fix problems even as they become critical, but also the fact that if you believe that money is running out, then nobody is going to wait and let the problem potentially get worse to be entitled to higher benefits by retiring later that actually can't be paid out. This really is a bird in hand is better than two in the bush kind of situation if we know or we believe that the system is going to fail. Because if Social Security isn't actually going to be able to fix these problems and isn't going to be able to pay out normal benefits by as soon as 2033, then getting 30% more but only getting 70% of that additional 30% paid out is less good than just taking as many benefits as possible as early as possible and getting the full amount that you are entitled to. And this is what seems to be the popular logic, at least according to this survey. All right, so that's it for this Michael's Matters, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, if you found it interesting, if you found it helpful, or hey, if you at least found it useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really does help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful for that. But also because you get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. So for Michael's Matters, I'm Michael, hoping that you take care of yourselves, take care of others, and have a happy, healthy day.